Hey, what's going on, y'all? OJ back here with another video. It is almost 12 a.m. from where I'm at right now. Yes, I have insomnia. I don't know how to sleep, so I'm gonna record this video. And today we're gonna be talking about some of the most notorious cheaters on the UFC roster right now. I'm gonna also mention a couple of guys that recently retired but have been known for cheating in a lot of their fights. I'm gonna have 10 fighters for you guys in a couple of seconds, so without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the video. Alright, for my number 10 spot, I got Muhammad Naimov. Now, he is not a repeated offender when it comes to cheating in a cage fight, but his fight with Nathaniel Wood was some of the most egregious case of cheating I have ever seen. Alright, we start off with 6 cage grabs, multiple groin strikes, hooking the gloves to prevent ground and pound. He arguably should have lost to Nathaniel Wood even then. Now, Muhammad Naimov has since not been cheating all that much, but just because of the sheer volume of cheating in one fight, which you typically would see across a fighter's entire career before we call them a serial cheater. Like, I'm just gonna put Muhammad Naimov on my number 10 spot just for that, because this was kind of an isolated incident. I'm gonna say that he's not gonna be higher up on my list. All right, now moving on, we got Sean O'Malley. He is a serial petty cheater. All right, like the fight with Pedro Munoz ended in a no contest due to an eye poke. He's always putting his fingers out, kind of like this, Jon Jones style. He also puts his fingers in Marab's gloves in the first fight to prevent ground and pound or for him to advance positions. Tim Welch, if you don't know, is Sean O'Malley's coach. And Tim Welch is known for repeatedly heckling the other guy, the other fighter. And it's kind of carrot because the UFC just allowed Sean O'Malley to do this. It's not like anything necessarily egregious like what Muhammad Naimov was doing in his fight with Daniel Wood, but because I can count on Sean O'Malley to low-key be cheating whenever he's in the bad spot, and I can also count on the fact that the UFC will barely, if at all, call any of Sean O'Malley's cheating, I'm gonna put him at my number 9 spot. Alright, for number 8, we got Nassourdine Imavov. Alright, pound for pound, the number one eye poker in the game right now. Right, Jon Jones formerly held the title, but I think this is Nassourdine Imavov's time. I mean, his last 5 fights ended or had some sort of eye poke in them. That was egregious. The Kyle Barallo fight, 2 eye pokes in there. The Israel Adesanya fight, the finishing sequence led because of an eye poke. He was eye poking the entire fight versus Jared Cannonier. Uh, oh no, he did fight Brendan Allen. I couldn't really see much of anything in terms of cheating, but maybe that's why he looked like dog shit because the one fight he fought pretty cleanly, he didn't look that good against Brendan Allen. And then even when he fought Chris Curtis, he had a head clash. And I don't really want to say this, right? Because I might come off as racist, but he's from the MMA factory, right? The French kickboxers who are notorious for cheating, right? Just because he's from there and he's one of their most prominent fighters in the UFC. And also the fact that I've seen him cheat multiple times throughout his career. I'm gonna say that Nassourdine Imavov deserves to be on the number 8 spot of my pound for pound notorious cheater list. All right, now up next we got Leon Edwards. I mean, he's not too relevant now, but he's been cheating through most of his fights, especially in his fights with Kamaru Usman, cage grabbing every time Usman shot for a takedown. He did mix in a nut shot here and there. He also poked Bilal Muhammad badly in the eye in their first fight. It was really where to the point where like Bilal Muhammad, I think his right eye was permanently damaged. I would say that Leon Edwards, he has kind of toned it down a little bit, but maybe it's because he's been getting dominated by Sean Brady, and he also lost to Bilal Muhammad in the rematch. I would say that Leon Edwards, like, he is a cheater, right? He just hasn't shown it recently, but you know, when Leon Edwards was on top, like, he has been cheating in a lot of his fights. And if he cheats against Carlos Prates, I would not be shocked whatsoever. All right, now up next we got Manel Kape. Now this is where we get to the prominent cheaters on this list. Right, he is the first fighter in UFC history to mix in eye pokes with striking combinations. Right, his TKO versus Asua Mamayev, beautiful sequence, but in between his punches to the body and his head kick up top where he's taking the L step. He mixes in eye pokes to blind Asula Mabayev before going for the finish. His TKO with Bruno Silva also ended with a nut shot, which I'm not gonna be too mad about because Bruno Silva kicked him in the nuts 3 times. And he also developed Dino like Israel Adesanya. Like the signs of him cheating are like prominent in his last in a couple of his fights. Now, to be fair, I guess his opponents were also cheating, like when Muhammad Makayev was pulling down Manel Cap's shorts as Manel Cap was trying to work for a heel hook. Unfortunately, I've been starting to notice that Manel Cap has been cheating throughout a lot of his fights, and it just kind of ruins it because I used to love Manel Cap a lot. But yeah, he is a notorious cheater, and I have to include him on my list. All right, now up next we got Chris Weidman. Now, just for his fight with Bruno Silva alone, automatically puts him in the top five. All right. First off, he finished Bruno Silva with a 1-2 eye poke. Right. He eye poked Bruno Silva 3 times before the 1-2 eye poke, and he's even saying on the Ariel Helwani show, like, he's like, "Oh, Bruno Silva should have just got up, right? Like, we're fighters, like, you couldn't have been eye poked in the first place. You gotta protect yourself." Like, I'm sorry, Chris Weidman. Like, if I look through Chris Weidman's entire history, right, he's been losing a lot of his fights towards the end of his career. And the only fight he's really won over the last 5 years or so was his fight with Bruno Silva. And that happens to be the one fight where Chris Weidman just kept eye poking Bruno Silva anytime Bruno Silva tried to close the distance. Like, you are a cheat. And the fact that Chris Weidman does it is so confusing because he's not had a repeated history of this. It's not like he's Jon Jones, where, Jon Jones's case, he's always putting his fingers out like this, and the referees never call it. But Chris Weidman, it's just weird that all of a sudden he just started doing that, right? But just for how egregious that fight with Bruno Silva was, I'm gonna put him on my top five for the cheaters list right now. All right, now moving on, we got Michael Chandler. Oh boy, where do we start with Michael Chandler? I mean, this guy is the fakest fighter on the UFC roster. He's fish hooking and squirting blood to blind Dustin Poirier, as well as like fish hooking to thinking rear naked chokes. He's eye gouged Charles Oliveira for a near fight ending sequence. He repeatedly hits fighters to the back of the head, even when the referee is like telling him not to do that, as he's looking at the referee. And the thing about Michael Chandler that really pisses me off is the fact that he does all of this with a holier than thou persona, which, if you can't tell, is just so fake. Right? Michael Chandler is a dirty cheat. Michael Chandler needs to be called out for it. And I'm glad that a lot of people agree with it because Michael Chandler, he's a fraud. He is an absolute fraud, both in terms of fighting and in terms of his persona, because even when cheating, he loses most of his fights. All right, now up next, we got Jon Jones. Now, before I continue on with this, UFC, like, can you put a better PNG? Like, what is this, man? What the fuck is this? But anyways, though, the reason why I have number 3 for Jon Jones is because he revolutionized the eye poke game. I mean, this guy, like, if you look through his highlights, especially during his prime, like, you cannot. tell me that Jon Jones is trying to eye gouge somebody in every single one of his fights. Like every single one of them, he's having his left hand out, tracing people's eyes, and then just shoving his fingers up their eyes. Like, if anything, the fight with Ciryl Gane versus Tom Aspinall, which I'll get to in a second, like it kind of convinced me that Jon Jones would have beat Tom Aspinall because you know we just found out that Tom Aspinall is very vulnerable to one of Jon Jones's best weapons, which is the eye poke. All right. If you guys want to say Jon Jones is the GOAT off that, then sure, have at it. Jon Jones beats Tom Aspinall via eye poke disqualification TKO. Not only that, he's also tested for steroids than more than any other fighter on the roster in modern MMA. And this is the most egregious part, though. Like, he's not just cheating in every single one of his fights, whether it be steroids or eye pokes. He literally told Dana White to switch back to the old gloves because the new ones are preventing eye pokes. Let that sink in. All right. This guy is just blatantly telling everybody in the world that he cheats in every single one of his fights. Yet for some reason, we have retards online parading Jon Jones as if he's the greatest fighter of all time. I don't understand that whatsoever. But Jon Jones, there's a reason he's the GOAT in some people's eyes. All right. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. All right. Fair enough. So, but it don't disqualify him from all of the egregious fouls that he's committed over the course of his UFC career. And even though he's been retired, like that's how big his legacy has been when it comes to cheating in and out of the octagon. So yeah, still number three on my list. But the next two guys I'm about to have up, oh boy, where do we start with them? All right, now up next we got Ciryl Gane. I think he's the most well-rounded cheater in MMA currently. Like you get a little bit of everything out of Ciryl Gane. If anything, he's the pound for pound number one cheater on the planet right now. I mean, where do we start? Eye pokes against Tom Aspinall, like not just the one where it ended the fight. He's also like trying to frame on Tom Aspinall whenever Tom Aspinall's trying to shoot for a takedown, and then look like you can see Gane like shoot his fingers out like this in order to frame. He's also grabbing the cage every time Volkov shot for takedowns against the fence. He nut shot against Jon Jones. Back of the head strikes to finish the fight against Taito Ivasa, Derek Lewis, and Sergey Spivak. The thing that frustrates me with Ciryl Gane is he's always saying, "Oh no no no, I did not do this on purpose. No no no, you got the wrong French guy." But for some reason, we don't condemn Ciryl Gane for all the fouls he's made. Rather, we blame Tom Aspinall for getting fouled. So the world is such a weird place right now. And let me just say this: Jon Jones is calling him out for cheating. Like, if Jon Jones is calling you out for cheating, then you're probably doing something wrong. All right. I could argue this guy's the pound for pound number one cheater on the list right now, but the number one guy I've reserved for somebody that kind of revolutionized the way we cheat in MMA fights. All right. For number one, I got Kamaru Usman. Now, he's not been cheating as of recently, but the reason I decided to put him up here is because he cheated so well that he's made his own cheating methods that are so underutilized. All right. Where do we start off? Like he's cage grabbing to clinch and offensively wrestle. Right. Normally, when you're cage grabbing, right, you're typically seeing fighters like defending a takedown in order to while cage grabbing. No, no, no. Kamaru Usman, what he'll do is try to shoot for the double leg and then grab the fence and then hold you there where as he repeatedly stomps you on the foot as he's like throwing some like noogie punches. Actually, no, he's not throwing noogie punches, but like he's like throwing knees up the middle. But he has made it so effective where like you can wrap the fence and then hold guys there, and there ain't nothing they can do about it. All right. He's also the only guy that I've seen who's repeatedly fake taking nut shots for quick breathers, like his first fight with Colby Covington, second fight with Colby Covington, his fight with Leon Edwards, the trilogy with Leon Edwards. Like Kamaru Usman in his prime has innovated the cheating game. And just because he hasn't cheated over the last like 2 years or so, that don't mean anything when you consider his prime, right? And let's not forget, there's a reason why many people call this guy the CEO of EPO, right? Corrupt pharmacist father that practically developed Kamaru Usman unbelievable cardio, back acne at the age of 36, right? Literally, Kamaru Usman's head grew in size throughout his UFC career. So I don't understand how Kamaru Usman has been getting away with this for a long time. But if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So fair game to Kamaru Usman. Even though he hasn't really cheated over the last couple of years, I would still say, he innovated the cheating game, right? Wi I feel like more fighters should start looking to Kamaru Usman for tactics in terms of cheating in fights because he has done a brilliant job of creating his own fouls, right? Which are clear fouls, but like no one's really been able to foul the way that Kamaru Usman's had, especially during his prime. So Kamaru Usman, I say right now is the number one cheater on the roster currently. All right, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can get this channel monetized. Otherwise, though, we are very close to getting monetized, so let's keep that up. Give me more video ideas. I'm running out of a lot, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to think of video ideas because I spent so much energy and time making Tom Aspinall glaze sessions. But yeah, leave a comment down below of any video ideas you guys have. Otherwise, though, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.